Glasses, regular glasses, and these are my special make a video glasses. The old glass. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA, fighting for direct marketing and direct mail every day. And don't you forget it. Okay, well, let's get to something spicy right off the bat. Okay, I'm cutting out the beginning of the spicy because it's just too spicy for this show. You know, in an this is another example of an ad you probably haven't seen. I'll probably get a copyright flag because if I show a commercial on YouTube, YouTube doesn't care. From YouTube, you know. But if I show it from some other source, they care. But anyway, this is from Adweek, and so I'll give attribution. And Adweek is using a special player that I can't find it on YouTube. So here we go. This woman is, or there's a woman's voice, and she's presumably talking about a date she's been on. And we'll let it roll from here. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, a shiver of desire came over me. I wanted it now. Our gazes locked, and I ripped off the lid of a hot chili dip. I tenderly dipped a long-awaited spicy chicken McNugget. Finally, they're back to spice things up. Ask someone out on a spicy chicken McNugget date at spicydate.se, and McDonald's splits the bill with you. Welcome to a slightly hotter McDonald's.
Hotter. Anyway, so, you wouldn't have seen that anywhere else. The offer expires on June 5th, so you won't even get a chance to use it. But what's really interesting, and the backstory is fun too, and all these articles are always available in the show notes at wdma.org. Sometime after the show, I got to mark them up first, right? But anyway, they said they're offering a limited edition coupon, and it has to be redeemed jointly by two people, and one half of the couple has to scan the coupon from the other person's phone in order to redeem it. So you put the two phones together, and one puts up the coupon and the other one scans it, I guess. I don't know how it works, but it was just in Sweden, so you probably missed it, and it was a little too racy. It's pretty funny, actually. But the other thing, what was really interesting about this, our hope is that this offer will encourage more people to meet, right? That Generation Z has got this slow dating. I have no idea what it is. But people between the ages of 18 and 24 are not used to go or even haven't ever been on a date in real life. Can you imagine? In all of human history? Through most of human history, it would have been arranged, and so you might not have had a date before you got married, but you'd still go out together once you did. Okay, so restaurants have always been a place to meet up, and we have the perfect way to help spice up your love life in a flirty, fun way. So really innovative, but the reason I wanted to mention it was because it's obviously, meant to be branding, to say McDonald's is more than just, a cold burger or something, and a flat Coke with no ice. Anyway, it's meant to, to elevate McDonald's. It's clearly branding to associate sex appeal and McDonald's, which is a tough thing to pull off, I suppose. But also because of the coupon and the fun part built into the coupon, which they don't really get into in the commercial, but because of that fun part where you bring a date to McDonald's to redeem it, it's also a response measurement device. So we can see what the redemption rate is, and we can see if it does better or worse than previous commercials. Now, that is not the kind of testing that direct marketers would call field valid scientific experimentation or something. But it is at least measurement of a sort. And that's what we want to get into today. We want to talk about combining branding and response. And McDonald's has done it right there. So, you might not have thought of it that way. So now I've got one from Craig Huey, and Craig usually has something worth talking about. And this was a story probably back in the day, because when I talk about helping Oakley try to get responses from their obviously branding mailing piece that they decided to try out in conjunction with the U.S. Postal Service, who hired me to help big companies do branding and response in the mail. And I said, I can't see the 800 number. Well, of course, that wasn't before the internet. The internet was there, but we just didn't use it much. But they hid the response device. So this is kind of a similar story. This company wanted to project a certain image, a classy intellectual image, but not sacrifice response. There's a catalog on my wall back here that I could bring down and open up for you. And the president founder of the company wanted his business to business catalog to look like Land's End, with nice big pictures and open, lot of space. This is back when Land's End was younger, and he did that, but it didn't generate much business. It didn't pay for itself. So I was tasked, after we dropped the first edition a couple of times, I was tasked with making it work harder. And so I was taking, usually on the train down to Chicago, because they were in the Wrigley building, I was taking 2 pages and pushing them into one, some way creatively, not wrecking the look of the catalog. And the tricky part is that you have to still remember the visual hierarchy. You have to make it look open and airy, and not, but also get across the message that we're in business to help your business. And it was a difficult challenge, and we did accomplish what we were trying to set out for. But here's Craig's story. It was for the New Perspectives Quarterly, and I did look it up because I've never seen that magazine. It's more like an academic journal, and apparently it ran from 1990 to 2019, almost 30 years. It's a shame. If they would have kept going until the pandemic, if they would have just known, they probably would have had a home run, because that was the kind of thing people were looking for. Some more lengthy, more involved conversation about big issues. So anyway, but be that as may, they probably didn't hire him back again. So they wanted something simple, not too slick, an intellectual journal for educated readers. Craig felt direct mail would work best, but they wanted to combine branding and response. And so they came up with an offer that basically said, try us for a quarter, the only publication in America dedicated to the true debate read by the nation's innovative minds. Sounds like a pretty good magazine. Sounds like something we could use today. A free complimentary preview. They gave them a free test subscription. Emphasized the 800 number, like we had to do with Oakley. And the idea was to use direct response, copy, and art without sacrificing the publication's image. Well, the results exceeded expectations. Expectations means there probably was no control piece. That's code for, we didn't really do a test, but we got a lot of orders. Hordes of new subscribers. Hordes, that's a qualitative term. Hordes of new subscribers. Being a highbrow intellectual thought journal, we were afraid of trying a faster sell, free offer approach. The package turned out tactful and classy, okay, and luckily, we were very pleased with the outcome. So it is possible to combine both together, according to me and according to Craig Huey, who I'm a big fan of his stuff. Okay, so then Adam Edwards writes in Adweek, how to stop the CMO revolving door bring brand and performance together. For most marketing teams, there's a wall separating marketing and performance marketing. Okay, brand marketing and performance marketing. If anybody can figure this out, he's basically saying they're going to win. Marketing has in many ways been brand marketing. Print, radio, TV were meant to build our awareness and influence our consideration of various products. Digital was more measurable, and I'm not sure it's not that much more measurable because of peripheral blindness that we've developed now as a species, where we don't see the ads on the perimeter. And this kind of marketing is oriented around data and that kind of marketing around creativity. Perhaps if we instead named one demand generation and the other demand capture, and that makes a lot of sense, I think. And Mark Ritson has talked about this too. But because there's this dichotomy, I'll put that, this versus that, fewer and fewer people have skill in both areas. And part of it's because we measure these inconsequential measurements. If we all got to lifetime value, if we looked at the long-term performance of a customer, which you've seen in my case study with that retailer, where we started showing them that the long-term downstream profitability was better with mail than it was with other forms of acquisition. It was also easier to test the real incremental lift, not just good things happen, but this many good things happened with this creative approach, and this many happened with this other creative approach. And that's the way you actually bring the two together. And neither of these articles really gets at that. And it's kind of a shame, although you can only do so much. And I understand the word count and other things. But even in social, the budgets are split between a brand team and a performance team, and it's very, very difficult in digital to get the idea of causal impact of creative testing. Which one caused long-term benefits? Okay, it's very, very difficult to understand marketing causal force through time. It's something that the direct mailers pioneered and is still available with direct mail, but it's not usually done. Okay, teams fighting over budgets. So these are the challenges. Teams fighting over budgets, no motivation to understand the impact of their work on the other, the difficulty creating a unified customer experience, and oftentimes one group working absolutely against the other group. If you talk about the high quality of your product, and then the other team says, and you can get it for 50% off. We actually had that happen. We had a social team that was doing influencer marketing, and the owner of the company had me go down and talk with them, and they said, well, we generate more sales than what we spend. And they were encouraging the influencers to give a 20% discount on top of what they were paying the influencers to talk about their product. And so they were discounting and not taking into account cost of goods, and on top of that, put some icing on the cake. We found that the buyers that did come in through the discounted offers were worth 25%, were 1/4 as valuable in the next 6 months after they came in than the customers had been for years and years and years. So very, 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 very dangerous. Now, he talks about, Adam. I didn't want to get his name wrong. He talks about some of these things that we should have measurement, and we should have better measurement now that we have less data because of the retreat into privacy issues. We should look at the ability of an ad to drive users to the site. Okay, but again, attributable traffic lift and incremental lift are not necessarily the same. In other words, if you do a mailer and you have a QR code on it, and you say visit the site, and you don't have a trackable QR code, you just send people to the site, and then the site drops a cookie, a first-party cookie, which is always going to be around. It drops a first-party cookie on their visit, and then they come back later and buy. Who will get credit for that? Obviously, it will be the website, not the mailing piece, right? Because there was nothing tracking the mailing piece back, unless you do a matchback analysis. You say, well, these people got mailed, these people didn't. These people came to the site. This percentage of people who got mailed came to the site. This percentage of people who didn't get mailed, but we know we mailed them. They didn't come to the site. Okay, so they engaged, they got mailed, they didn't come to the site, or we intended to mail them. This part of our customer file did not get mailed. And that's how, and we can look and see if they came to the site. That's how you set up incremental lift with a holdout test. And I'm sorry, I might have botched that up. It's not that hard, but it's hard to do it on live TV. Okay, level of ad engagement, viewability, percent viewed, average dwell time. And again, you don't know though that if somebody is on your website or is on or is on a place where your banner ad is being featured, you don't know if they were looking at your ad or they were getting up to grab a cup of coffee. Now you say that averages out over time, and there's some validity to that, right? But that's a big problem with digital. Very, very low level of engagement at all, ever. And so your average is going to be right close to nothing. And then when you see something that bumps above average, it could be that a couple of ads just sat there on someone's screen for a while, or they were reading the article next to it and that the article was engaging. Sometimes engaging placement is counterproductive, as we mentioned the other day with the Sports Illustrated breakthrough ad on Saturday morning cartoons, where the dad wasn't engaged with the cartoon, so he'd go up and respond to the commercial, as opposed to putting the ad in a major sporting event where we didn't want to get up, we didn't want to miss the next thing coming, like the Super Bowl. Okay, how valuable or engaged visitors are, such as time on site or pages per visit. And that, again, same problem. Micro conversions, email signups, store locators, and product page views, blended metric. I would say all of these have their, are worth thinking about, but ultimately what we want is site visits, purchases, and longevity of purchase. That's what we want. And so for that reason, I would say if you really want to combine brand and response, you should experiment with mail. Treat mail as a testing vehicle and treat mail as a laboratory, because we know we have engagement with a decision maker. We know it gets delivered. We know who got mailed and who didn't. So we know the people who engaged and didn't buy, plus the people who engaged and did buy. And so we have a labeled data set. Also crucial. Anyway, some things to think about. If you're not doing these things, if you're the CFO and you think, the marketing people, I don't know if they're doing these things, but I'd like to know some of this stuff. I'd like to know how hard our advertising is working. Well, get involved with the WDMA. We're having a meetup in Minneapolis on Thursday. You probably saw the little thing going down below on the screen. We're having it 6 o'clock. But tell us you're coming, because we have to know what kind of table to get. And usually they're fairly intimate, and that's fine. We have, I think we have about a half a dozen or a dozen people signed up. But, usually not everybody that signs up comes either. So feel free to drop in. It's at Jimmy's in Minnetonka. And hopefully I'll get to sending out some more invitations in the next day or two.